Welcome. This channel brings you daily motivation and uplifting sermons. Subscribe now. And together let's reach 1,000 subscribers while building a positive, inspiring community. How you see the world is how you'll experience it. Denzel Washington stood backstage in a dimly lit theater, waiting for his turn to audition. It was a small, off-Broadway production, nothing glamorous, nothing that would make headlines. He was just one of many hopeful actors clutching their scripts, exchanging nervous glances. The room was thick with anticipation. He could feel the anxiety in the air, the pressure that came with knowing that every rejection felt personal. Every closed door a reminder of how hard this dream was to chase. When his name was called, he stepped out onto the stage, underwhelming. In its simplicity, a single spotlight, a fold-up chair, and a director scribbling notes in the dark. Denzel delivered his lines, pouring his heart into them, but as he exited the stage, the director didn't even look up. There were no words of encouragement, no nod of approval, just a quiet next that seemed to echo louder than it should have. He didn't get the part. He didn't get the call. It wasn't the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. That night, he sat in his small apartment, the city noise leaking through the thin walls. He stared at his reflection in the window and wondered what he was doing wrong. Was he not talented enough? Was he not cut out for this? But then, a memory flashed in his mind, a lesson from his mother. She had always told him, sometimes, rejection isn't about you. Sometimes, it's about timing. And sometimes, it's just not your door to walk through. That night, Denzel decided to shift his perspective. Instead of seeing each rejection as a defeat, he would see it as a test, a step forward, a lesson. The next morning, he stood in front of his bathroom mirror and said to himself, "Today, I choose to see opportunity, not obstacles. I choose to see lessons, not losses." He repeated it again and again until he believed it. And with that belief, he approached the day differently. He went to auditions with a sense of determination rather than dread. Each no became fuel, each setback a reason to work harder, to sharpen his craft. Over time, his perspective shaped his journey. The rejections didn't stop, they never truly do. But what did change was how he saw them, how he let them affect him, instead of letting no close a door in his mind. He saw it as a sign to knock on another. Instead of wondering if he wasn't good enough, he asked himself what he could learn to be better. This mental shift didn't just help him survive, it helped him thrive. By starting every morning with the conscious decision to look for opportunity, Denzel began to see it everywhere, hidden in conversations, in chance encounters, in the auditions he might have once skipped. His story became a testament to the power of perspective. The way you see the world determines the life you live, and that power is in your hands every single morning. Denzel Washington learned early on that gratitude wasn't just a polite thank you or a fleeting moment of appreciation. It was something deeper, something that could guide his choices and keep him grounded. He didn't always realize it at the time, but the way his parents approached life planted the seeds of this understanding. Growing up, his family didn't have much money. They lived in a modest home, and there were many nights when ends barely met. But what they lacked in wealth, they made up for in spirit. His father, a Pentecostal minister, often said grace before meals, not out of obligation, but because he truly believed in giving thanks. His mother, a hard-working beauty parlor owner, taught Denzel and his siblings to always find the silver lining. Before you ask for something new, she would say, be thankful for what you already have. Denzel carried this lesson into his adult life, though he didn't fully appreciate it until he began facing real struggles. There was a moment early in his career when he felt utterly lost. Auditions weren't going well, and money was tight. He was living in a small, run-down apartment, and doubt was creeping in. One evening, as he sat on his worn couch, he remembered his mother's words. That night, instead of dwelling on what he didn't have, he started listing what he did have: a roof over his head, food to eat, friends who believed in him. The more he focused on those blessings, the more he realized how much he had to be thankful for. From then on, Denzel made gratitude a daily practice each morning. Before he did anything else, he took a moment to reflect on the good in his life. He would stand by the window, look out at the city, and say to himself, I'm grateful for another chance to do better. I'm grateful for the people who have supported me. I'm grateful for the simple gift of life. Those few moments helped set the tone for his day. They reminded him that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he had a solid foundation to stand on. Gratitude also became a source of strength when things went wrong. If a role fell through or a project didn't pan out, Denzel didn't spiral into self-pity. Instead, he would pause and remind himself of all he still had. This perspective not only kept him grounded, but also opened his eyes to new opportunities. When you're focused on what's good in your life, he learned, you're more likely to spot the doors that are still open rather than the ones that have closed. Gratitude wasn't just about weathering tough times, though it also made the good times even better. Successes felt richer when he stopped to appreciate them. Achievements became more meaningful when he thought about all the people and circumstances that had helped him get there. Gratitude turned every accomplishment into a shared victory. Denzel's life is proof that gratitude can be transformative. It's not about ignoring the challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging what's good, even in the midst of struggle. It's about recognizing that every morning is a new opportunity to be thankful. And as he stood in front of the mirror each day, repeating his words of gratitude, he found that it wasn't just a practice, it was a way of life. When Denzel Washington first arrived in Hollywood, he felt a strange pressure. Not the pressure of memorizing lines or nailing auditions, though that was certainly there, but the pressure to conform. There were whispers that he should adjust his look, that he should soften his voice, that he should mold himself into whatever the industry wanted at the time. At first, Denzel wondered if maybe he should. After all, wasn't that what it took to succeed? To fit in, to be exactly what they wanted. But something didn't sit right. He remembered growing up in Mount Vernon, surrounded by a vibrant community, and a family that constantly reminded him to stay true to his roots. His father, a minister, often told him, God made you just as you are. Your job isn't to be someone else. Your job is to find out what he put in you and show that to the world. and his mother, practical and wise, would echo it. You'll never shine trying to be someone else. Be yourself and let them come to you. That wisdom rang in his ears as he navigated auditions and casting calls. He knew he had something unique, something that no one else could offer. But it wasn't always easy to trust that. The rejection letters and the quiet, impersonal no's made him second-guess himself. It was a moment of inner struggle that many face. Do you bend to fit a mold? Or do you stand firm and let the world accept you as you are? One pivotal audition drove the point home. Denzel had been preparing for weeks, trying to embody a certain image he thought the casting directors wanted. When he walked into the room, he was nervous, unsure, and not at all himself. He gave a performance that felt rehearsed, but hollow. He didn't get the part. Afterward, a mentor pulled him aside and said, "Denzel, they might not have cast you because you weren't being you. Stop trying to be something you're not. The only way to win at this game is to bring your whole self into the room, your voice, your truth, your story. That's what makes you special." From that day forward, Denzel made a promise to himself. Every morning, he would look in the mirror and say, "I am unique. I am capable. I am worthy of my dreams." He started to show up as himself fully, unapologetically, and with the conviction that who he was would resonate more deeply than any manufactured persona. The shift was remarkable. Casting directors began noticing him not just for his talent, but for his authenticity. He didn't try to fit into the industry. He brought something to it that no one else could. He was no longer just another actor trying to get a role. He was Denzel Washington, a force to be reckoned with. A man whose strength lay in his ability to be fully himself. As his career blossomed, he saw that the courage to be authentic didn't just help him professionally, it enriched his personal life as well. Relationships grew stronger, opportunities came more naturally, and his confidence deepened. He didn't have to wonder if he was enough anymore. By staying true to himself, he found a peace and a power that couldn't be shaken. Chapter 3 serves as a reminder that the journey to success isn't about fitting in or meeting someone else's standards. It's about showing up as you are, owning your story, and letting that authenticity be your guide. Denzel's story reminds us that when we have the courage to be ourselves, we tap into a strength that no one else can replicate. And that strength, he believes, is what opens the door to greatness. Denzel Washington's mother used to tell him, "Hard work works." Simple words, but the weight of them grew heavier as his career advanced. When he first began pursuing acting, he had big dreams of stardom. He envisioned his name on marquees, a stack of scripts lined up, and the world calling for his talent. Yet it didn't take long for him to realize that the dream alone wasn't enough. Wishing for success didn't bring it any closer. The path forward required work every single day. One of the first lessons he learned was that consistency mattered more than motivation. There were mornings when he didn't feel like getting out of bed, when the idea of another rejection made him want to stay under the covers. But then he would remind himself of something his coach once told him: "If you only show up when you feel like it, you'll never get where you want to go." Those words stuck. He knew that no matter how he felt in the moment, his long-term success depended on what he did each day. Denzel started building a routine every morning. After saying his gratitude affirmations and centering his perspective, he would lay out his plan. He'd read a script, practice lines, or work on improving his physical stamina for demanding roles. If he wasn't on set, he was in the studio rehearsing. If he wasn't rehearsing, he was reading books or watching great performances to learn from others. There was no wasted time. He understood that the life he dreamed of required daily investments of time, energy, and focus. It wasn't just about the number of hours he put in, though. It was about intention. He had to focus on what would move him closer to his goals. That meant saying no to distractions and yes to the grind, even when it was uncomfortable. There were days when his friends were out enjoying themselves, but Denzel was home studying a character or running lines. He knew that sacrifice today would pay off tomorrow. It was the discipline of showing up, day after day, that separated those who succeeded from those who merely dreamed. As his career grew, Denzel noticed something else. The discipline he built in his work spilled into other areas of his life. He began approaching relationships, health, and personal growth with the same dedication. This holistic discipline made him stronger, more resilient, and more focused. He wasn't just preparing for roles, he was preparing for life. And it all started each morning with a quiet reminder to himself, I have what it takes. I will take one step forward. I will make today count. This approach wasn't always easy, and it wasn't always rewarded immediately, but over time, he saw the results. The opportunities came because he was ready for them. The respect grew because he earned it. The dreams became reality because he was willing to do the work when others wouldn't. In this final chapter, Denzel emphasizes that while talent may open doors, it's discipline that keeps them open. Dreams don't come to fruition because we wish for them, they materialize because we get up every morning and put in the effort. Even when it's hard, the message is clear. If you want something badly enough, don't just dream about it, act on it. Start today, start now.